I'm Indra,
And I'm Amanda.
and we'd like to welcome you to The Messy Middle Matters.
Hey, Indra.
Hey, Amanda, how are you today?
I'm good. How are you?
Good. I'm so excited for our topic for today.
Yeah, me too. So, for those who are just listening, I'm wearing a shirt that says Party Goblin. It's on brand for what we're talking about today. But yeah, just wanted to ask you a quick question. Have you noticed that some people at work take themselves too seriously?
Never seen a single human being at work who takes themselves way too seriously and takes all the fun out of the room.
I think anyone who's ever worked with me or anyone who knows me personally know that I am generally not a very serious person. Like the Party Goblin shirt is very on brand for me. And yeah, we just want to talk about how to bring a little more levity and whimsy to work. The we don't have to take everything so seriously all the time. There are things that need to be taken very seriously, but there are pockets that don't need to be as serious. And I think we both have examples of how some play at work, a little bit of play at work, can make teams stronger and better. And just, I don't want to use the word productive because that sounds so like work, but
that may or may not be true. Yeah, that may or may not be true. But it will. I think that what it does is it definitely improves the vibe, which could improve either quality or could improve productivity. It could improve speed. But I think that the vibe of the team gelling, the team becoming more unified, that it always does. What the ripples from there, that's always fun to see what worked out in which workplace or which scenario.
Right. Which worked out where, and like what the, like you said, ripples, what the resulting ripples were from the team gelling and just having a good vibe, having a good team dynamic.
Yeah. And it's, goodness gracious, there's so many different places we can go with this one. I mean, I think that, for me in my career, what's been the most useful is small injections of levity in very inconspicuous places. Like it can be small little things. Like, one example that comes to mind, which is it's such a silly little example, but was working with a team, and it happened to be a agile environment. I don't know if that plays into the story, but it happened to be an agile environment using that methodology for project planning. And in meetings, what I started to do, I was not the scrum master, the leader of the planning process. I just happened to be a leader that was part of the team. I was a little bit of a coach when it came to the agile process and how we're running things. And what I started to do is when somebody would write a story is just a documented version of what you're expecting to do in that next work cycle, right? If somebody wrote a really well-articulated story that everyone could understand, I'm like, oh, you get a star. I started by saying that. They were just like intro, whatever. And then one day it was a IRL in real life office place. And I walked in with those sheets of star stickers that our grade school teachers used to put on our worksheets when we did well. I started handing out stars. I'm like, oh, you get a star. Like, what color do you want? They would look at me like I was strange and I landed from another planet. I'm like, no, you earned a star. You can do whatever you want with it. You can just put it on your hands, but you earned a star.
And I want a star.
Right? Amanda, you deserve 5 stars. But I did that, and I just was doing that, and it was just like my little practice of whatever. And then one day I went to the meeting and I hadn't grabbed my tote bag with all my little tools and tricks and whatever that I travel with from meeting to meeting. And somebody had a really well-planned story, and they turned to me, they goes, "Where's my star?" I
So
go,
you unintentionally made that part of the team culture.
it became part of the team culture. And it was like, it was a little, it turned into a reward mechanism. I was like, great, let's all start earning stars. Give them to your kids at home. I don't care what you do with them.
Yeah, I think what's cool and interesting about that story is that one, like you unintentionally made this part of your team culture, and there's something about it that feels so inside jokey
mm,
about it.
it's ours.
And
Yeah.
yeah, it's a team like, oh, if you know, you
If
know.
you know,
If
you
you know
know.
about the stars, you know. And as you were telling that story, I thought about like the inside jokiness that I've experienced at work,
Mm.
right? Where like you add custom Slack emojis, right? For to represent, an inside joke of the team, along the same lines of being a scrum master.
Not
I
everyone
work on.
knows. Hold on. Not everyone
Oh
knows
yes, not
what
everyone
his
knows what.
custom Slack emoji is. So give them a little bit of like a.
Yes. So Slack is a work communications
It's
tool.
a chat
Like
tool.
it's a chat tool. It's a messaging app. And you can, it comes with a custom with a standard set of emojis, kind of like your phone does. But there's an option to add custom ones, and you can add them, like you can upload any picture and make it an emoji to react to things.
My favorite one's the little typing cat that can't stop typing, and he's just typing like a crazy person.
Oh yeah, I love that one too. But yeah, so along the same lines as you, Indra, when I was a scrum master, I was a scrum master for a team that named themselves.
Mm.
The it was it's funny because it was spelled Pikas, right? Which is, if you know Pokemon, you would pronounce that as Pikas, like Pikachu,
Mm-hmm.
but it's also an animal called a pika. But the team pronounced it as Pika, like
Okay.
Pikachu. And we would add all of the emojis of like the Pikachus. So like the dancing Pikachu, the shocked Pikachu face. We got stickers, back to stickers. We got stickers to put on our laptops of like Pikachu. It was just a team building, team bonding, like, oh, this is how we identify ourselves and like just interact with each other. And it just makes it fun.
It does make it fun. And I think that, I think that the one thing that the key to getting the fun and doing it well is, and this is where you can leverage that if you know kind of thing, is the key to a lot of the fun is if you keep it within certain bounds. Like some fun you want to share and you want to spread everywhere. And like, that's fine. If people would want to walk up to me in a meeting because they'd heard about me and my gold stars and I had my tote bag with me, I would have given those out. That's fine.
Yeah.
But like team names is can be a double-edged sword
Mm-hmm.
in the spirit of fun, right? Because where I love it creates this camaraderie when you give your team a name, and like you talked about some really great like offshoots of what happens with that one little seed of a team name. Like teams will get swag, or they'll
The
all sorts of
stickers, the emojis, the identity.
all sorts of fun silliness
Yeah.
ensues. But like one is to make sure that you don't spend your day focused on creating more silliness because you still have a job to get done. But like back to the team name piece, and why I brought that up is that when we were doing I was working as part of an organization where we had gone with those fun names, and executives were looking for status updates. They're like, well, I'll go with yours. Pika did this and the Space Invaders did that. And like, they're like, wait, like, who's on first and what's on second? Like if they felt like they were in that old Abbott and Costello skit, they're like, I don't understand I just want to know, is feature X going live or not? And who is the lead on that, so I know who to ask questions of? And so, I think that you and I have both employed amongst ourselves, we'll call ourselves Pika, but for the greater world, when we're doing status updates, we're going to be called the checkout workflow team.
Right. Right. Like setting up that mapping.
Right. And then like every step, like the checkout workflow team, and the executive might know, like you can say checkout workflow team, product manager is Mike, right? So like they know who to go to ask for questions about the thing, right? Like, it's that mapping. It's like keep the fun, but know when the fun is too much in general, and when the fun, you know, we're gonna just keep it to ourselves, right?
Right. Yeah. I think that's good guidance, right? Like fun with boundaries or like fun with very low stakes things, right? Another example that comes to mind, just, from a scrum master working on an engineering team
Mm-hmm.
perspective, there's a tool called Jira, right? It's the ticket management
It's the
tool
most
for,
popular and most
yes.
effective tool that's out there for planning the work. Yeah. Or
Yeah.
managing the
And
work.
right. And, with the ticket management tool, you can assign people to do the ticket. And next to your name, you can upload a little avatar.
Mm.
And I've worked at places where, when Moodang was all the rage, that little
Mudang the
hippo,
hippo?
the
Okay.
hippo,
Mm.
someone on my team made their avatar Moodang, and I was just like, oh, like viral cute animals, yeah, that's a whole thing. So I made mine. I even forgot his name, but it was like the seal, the happy seal. It's just an adorable little seal, and like that's what I made my avatar as. And it's just a very low stakes thing, and no one needs to know. It's different from the Slack avatar, where it's like if you message someone for the first time and like you don't know who they are and you want to build that relationship, it's helpful to have a picture of your actual face on Slack. But
I,
in Jira, like it's just your name, it's just assigned to a ticket. Like it's only your team really who looks at it. And so you can inject a little fun and levity there.
yeah. I think that's right. I love the fact that you juxtapose those two scenarios. Like it's context matters, and you have to look at it from like a higher view, a higher altitude, a broader lens, pick your metaphor, right? Or, like, or imagery or whatever it might be. But like, I think that that's really important because, it can create confusion, and it can create potentially, um, I'm going to say FOMO. I could go so as heavy as saying resentment, right?
Mm-hmm.
Because, like not all teams have the same privileges that
Mm-hmm.
other teams have, right? So let's say the head of engineering allowed for that. And, like the head of design allowed for that. Interface design, we know to use the qualifiers of all these things, like the UX CX design team allows for that, but the sales team is not allowed to do that, or the compliance team is not allowed to do that. Like you need to understand your whole ecosystem, and make sure that you don't flaunt your fun
Right. Right.
to people who can't, or find ways that the people who can't have that kind of fun, maybe give them some other outlet. Say, hey, I know you guys can't do this, but maybe you guys can do that. Like this is kind of cool, and your leader may not need to know about it. So,
Yeah.
but yeah.
Yeah. What comes to mind when talking about the boundaries and the ecosystem and all of that, and just going back to Slack,
Hmm.
and that just happens to be the tool I've used for my last few jobs. There's the idea of a Slack channel, which is like a chat room, and there are often fun Slack channels.
Mm. Ooh.
There are fun Slack
I'm
channels
dying to know
that
where this story is going. Keep going.
there are fun Slack channels. I mean, let's pick one
Yeah.
that is universal. There's always the fun pet channel.
Oh,
Share
the
your
pets
pet
channel. Yeah,
photos.
yeah, 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 yeah.
Yeah, share your pet photos and like making that part of the culture, right? Can do so much, right? It's not limited to only a certain team. It's
Mhm.
just open to the whole company. Lots of people have pets. People who have pets love posting pictures of their pets, and like seeing photos of pets, even whether or not you have a pet, just brings a little joy to your day.
Yeah, I think my favorite silly, safe for everyone channel is the dad jokes channel.
Oh, yeah,
I
I've seen that
love
one too.
I love a good dad joke channel. Like whenever I'm part of an organization that has Slack or another messaging tool, one of the first things that I set up always is a dad jokes channel. Like, and dad jokes, just so that we're clear, not gendered. It's just, we all know that terminology is just often associated with dads and their silly jokes, but it sets a certain it it's explicit. There's for jokes, but it also sets the tone for things, because whereas like I'm like, I wonder where you're going with this, because there can be those scenarios where we're like, if it was just the jokes channel, there will inevitably be someone on some day that drops something into that channel that is not safe for work, not
No.
appropriate for whatever it might be. So I think that that's, having either the right nomenclature around things, or in a on Slack, my favorite thing to do is, in especially with large open channels, is like, whether it's in the description or you pin a message to the top, but put it somewhere depending on your tool, that like, these are the rules of engagement.
Yeah. Yeah, I think it just goes back to the concept that you introduced earlier of fun, but with boundaries.
Boundaries.
Yeah,
Because
with
this is
boundaries.
work. This is
Because
work. These are not your, like, you might be friends outside the four walls, whether they're literal or figurative, but like in the four walls, this is work. We need to be compliant to any sort of legal rules and expectations that exist out there. We need to be compliant to any sort of company norms. And we need to get the job done, because if we don't get the job done, we don't get paid. Like, I always remind people, I'm like, hey, folks, I'm like, I love my paycheck. Like, I know this is not the most fun thing on earth. We need to get this done because I want to get paid. But whenever we can, let's have a little bit of fun and
right,
not.
just like finding that right balance, right? I think there are a few themes throughout our
Yeah.
podcast episodes. I think one, we're not automatons,
Nope.
um, and two, another one is let's just we're human, and like let's just connect, and just like the common threads of let's find the right balance, right? Like there can I know you like to say, your work isn't your family, right? Your work isn't your family, but you can still be a human. You can still
So
be a human, and like finding that right balance of connection, of the fun, of the insert thing here. It's just finding that balance.
100%. I think that the one last thing that I think that is important to acknowledge: no mandatory fun, please. Like,
Oh no,
no mandatory fun. I
even
hate having
even the
mandatory
term
fun,
mandatory fun makes me cringe.
because you know exactly what it is. Like, it's like, not everyone has to turn their avatar into a Pikachu of some sort. Not everyone has to wear the t-shirt. Not everyone has to go to happy hour. Not everyone has to, like, I think it's, mandatory fun. We can discuss offsites and all that stuff too. That's a different episode. But like, just keep that in mind. Don't force your fun on anyone else, because when you force your fun on anyone, it's not fun anymore.
It's not fun. This is gonna make you cringe. I've seen a meeting
Mm,
on the calendar named Team Mandatory Fun.
good
And
Lord.
it's like we all know that we need to connect, right? But like having to force it in that way is just so like it makes my skin crawl a little bit.
And it can come with the best intentions. I think that the abundance of mandatory workplace fun, or of all sorts of shapes and sizes, was, I know we talked about this an episode or two ago, is like, during the early days of the pandemic, when we couldn't connect with each other in real life, and everyone was really stressed out because life was really lifey for everyone in varying degrees, right? And like the bingos and the happy hours, and like, it was just, at a certain point we all got zoomed out. But yeah, I think that there is a way to do it in an artful way. There's
Yeah,
a
there's
way
a
to
way
do
to
it in
do
an
it.
artful
Yeah,
way.
there's a way to do it in an artful way, in a more organic way,
Yeah.
without forcing fun down everyone's throats, right? Like, I mean, I'm thinking about the t-shirt I'm wearing right now, right? Like, not everybody likes to wear the fun t-shirts, but like
and
I'm one of those people, and
and not every
I
workplace is a work t-shirt culture. But
right. And not every workplace is a t-shirt culture. Not every
sure.
meeting's a t-shirt meeting, right? Like I know what meetings I have today. Like I'm not going to wear the party goblin t-shirt to an executive status meeting, you know?
No, but and then some, yeah, it's about the time, the place, and all of that. Yeah.
Yeah. I think, just weaving play, we'll call it play and fun and whimsy into just normal interactions, just reduces tension.
Mhm.
Reduces tension, gets people to connect, gets people to think about, like if they're willing to engage in the fun, right? Gets people to think about things in a different way. Like I think it activates a different part of your brain,
Mhm.
right? Like just back to the the Pika team name. It's just like, oh, well, we're all getting stickers for our laptops. Like, what sticker do I want, right? Do I want to design my own sticker? Like, what do I want to show here, right? Do I want to get a sticker of the shocked Pikachu? Like, am I, am I showing to the team that like I'm very into meme culture? Like, just thinking about all of those things is fun and engaging and like very low stakes, in my opinion.
Low stakes.
Yeah. Anything else to add? Any more examples of fun that you've seen at work?
I feel like I would be making it mandatory fun for everyone if I added more stories.
Well, yeah, thanks, Indra, for engaging in this conversation about mandatory fun, or not mandatory fun, about fun at the workplace, and hoping it doesn't or it didn't feel like mandatory fun.
It did not. It did not at all.
And yeah, thanks to our listeners, and join us next time for another topic on the messy middle matters. Thanks, everyone. Bye.
Bye.